Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Healthy Aging Network. Today we're going to be talking with Bridget Britton about handling chronic pain and living a healthy life. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about living a healthy life with chronic pain. My name is Kathy Tutt and I'm the Family Consumer Sciences Educator with Ohio State University Extension in Clark County. Today we're going to be talking with Bridget Britton, who is also a Family Consumer Sciences Educator, and I'm going to give her a chance to introduce herself. So Bridget, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for having me, Kathy. Like you said, I'm the Family Consumer Sciences Educator in Carroll County, which is all the way on the other side of the state, kind of close to West Virginia and Pennsylvania, and I'm so excited to be here. I work very closely with our senior center in CARROLLTON. This is a topic that we talk a lot about when we teach a couple different classes about chronic pain management. So it's just something I'm really passionate about. So thank you so much for inviting me. I've been with Extension for almost 5 years now. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. I know you mentioned that you got interested in working with this through your senior center. So can you tell me a little bit about what actually chronic pain is, and does it look the same for everyone?
Yeah, so each person with chronic pain has a unique situation, and there's really no treatment approach that's right for everybody. Unfortunately, we see about 30% of people worldwide that live with chronic pain conditions, and some are not identifiable. I have a personal experience. My mother-in-law, she lives with chronic pain and they don't know what the cause of it is. So she's gone about 7 years now trying to seek treatment and diagnosis for her chronic pain. So whether it's a heart condition, diabetes, depression, or a host of other illnesses, the chronic pain can cause fatigue, loss of physical strength and endurance, emotional distress, and a sense of helplessness and even hopelessness. So the pain is a part of being alive. It's nearly universal and something that we all share. At the same time, it is a personal, individual, and subjective experience. One person's pain isn't the same as another person's pain. So we're going to pull up the chronic pain cycle. And throughout human history, pain has been regarded as a mysterious and unknowable situation because we can't see another person's pain. It is invisible, but we know that we feel pain ourselves and it is very real. So you can see on the screen, right? It is a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. It causes poor sleep, tension in our muscles, restricted movement, ineffective breathing, stress and anxiety, difficult emotions, depression, and fatigue. And all of these things are very difficult for any individual to deal with, let alone with a chronic condition every single day to deal with. I think can be very overwhelming.
Right. Thank you so much. So, you were mentioning, it seems like that managing chronic pain is a combination of your physical health, your mental health, your emotional well-being. And I think the challenge of that is just learning how to manage all of those. I read somewhere that there's a lot of chronic depression that comes along with chronic pain. So what can you tell me about depression related to chronic pain?
Yeah, I think it's very important to recognize, and a person might not even realize that they have depression, and they may feel it but attempt to hide it, right? There's a stigma behind mental illness and depression as it is, let alone when it's combined with this. Sometimes it's masked by unrealistic cheeriness to try to help that person feel better. Only the wise and sensitive observer might be able to recognize it. frequent symptoms of unrecognizable depression, leads to lack of it being diagnosed or being treated. When you live with chronic pain, it often limits your abilities to do what you were once able to do. So if you think about living, in your younger years, maybe before your chronic pain started, you were able to do a lot more. And then, as your chronic pain starts or your diagnosis happens, really limits you. So just imagine that constriction of your ability, your physical abilities, which can lead to depression.
Great. So if someone were, thinking maybe I have depression, maybe I don't, what would be some of those common symptoms or things that someone might look for if they're trying to determine if their loved one or even if themselves, if they're in some type of state of depression?
Yeah, so there is a quick little test for depression. You want to ask yourselves, what do you do to have fun? If you don't have a quick answer, then, you want to start to consider your mood over the past 2 weeks. Have you experienced any of the following things? Little interest or pleasure in doing things, right? Your inability to enjoy life or other people, right? That may be a sign of depression. Feeling down, depressed, or hopeless, feeling the persistent blue, right, can be a symptom of depression. Trouble falling or staying asleep or sleeping too much, awakening and being unable to return to sleep. Those can be warning signs and symptoms. I think it's important to note that we have the occasional, right, unable to fall asleep, but if it's persisting,
right,
feeling tired or having little energy, fatigue, poor appetite or overeating. This may range from a loss of interest in food to unusual or erratic or excessive eating, feeling bad about yourself. Have you ever felt that you're a failure, that you let your family down? Do you doubt your self-worth or have negative image of your body? Trouble concentrating? Have you found it hard to do tasks? Maybe reading the newspaper, if you like to crochet or knit or any of those things, are you having difficulty doing those? Lethargic, restless, have you been moving or speaking so slowly that people have said things about it? And wishing harm on yourself or worse, maybe that you would be better off dead or people would be better off without you. I think it's important to note that not all of these, not that you have to have all of these that indicate depression, but a couple of these. And you may want to, if you're evaluating that and thinking I've felt some of these, you want to immediately talk to family, friend, your senior center, I know is always a good place to reach out to, your doctor, anybody, just reach out. Somebody wants to talk to you out there. So it's important to reach out for help and support.
Right. I think that's great. I think sometimes those symptoms of depression kind of sneak up on people and they can't even put their thumb on what it might be.
Right.
But it's good to have some of those key indicators that we talked about. Not to be completely down, but I would think that another emotion that people feel throughout this chronic pain is anger. I recently had it wasn't chronic pain, but it was very short term and very intense. And I was really angry throughout all of that. So can you tell me just a little bit if anger is a normal response for people who have chronic pain?
Oh, for sure. Yes. Anger and frustration are common reactions to chronic pain. You have the uncertainty and unpredictability of living with it, right? You talked about it being short term, but it could be somebody with chronic pain could have it be every day. It could be every other day. You don't know when it's going to come. Some days might be better than other days. So you might be thinking, why me? It's so unfair. These are all normal responses to persistent pain. You might be angry with yourself. For example, you could think, I should have taken better care of myself. What did I do wrong? This isn't good for my family. In some cases, the person is younger or had nothing seemingly happen. Where did this come from all of a sudden, right? Yeah, absolutely. Anger is definitely a normal response.
I could see that too as, when you talk about pain isn't really visible to someone's eye, and if your family members aren't understanding or picking up on how you're feeling, that definitely could cause a little bit of anger within the family.
Yes.
I recently read about some different strategies for anger management. So could you tell me just a few of those as we go through here? Someone wanted to work on that?
Yeah. So, you want to reason with yourself, interpret and explain the situation. Am I justified in my anger? You need to gather more information to really understand the situation. Will getting angry really make a difference, right? So, yes, I'm angry at my situation, but is it really going to help the long-term impact of my chronic pain management?
Right. And I think it's good to know that, anger is a very common emotion, but how we respond to our anger is what we can control in our lives. And I think that's one of the things that we really want to highlight with people. As we move on and we talk about managing chronic pain and being able to live a healthy life through there, I know that I read a book and it said being your own self-manager is one of the keys to being able to live with chronic pain. So can you tell me a little bit about what being a self-manager really is?
Yeah. So the first responsibility of a chronic pain self-manager is what you're referring to, the book, is understanding your condition, right? So this means learning more about your pain, where it comes from. Then we talk about what you can do about it. It also means carefully observing how your chronic pain is treated, how it affects you physically and emotionally, right? We talked about your responses to it, how it is affecting those around you with your experience. Then you kind of move into communicating your unique situation, because we talked about your pain is invisible to others.
Right.
You need to communicate your preference to your doctors and others on your healthcare team, because you may see different variety of doctors and healthcare workers. And they need to know how you're feeling and how it's impacting every area of your life. You are your own advocate. You're the one that's going to give yourself the best care. When you develop a painful condition, you become the most aware of your body. So what minor symptoms may be, what major symptoms are going to be. Even though the chronic pain may be unpredictable, it's helpful to be aware of the natural rhythms of your particular condition, because it may wax and wane in intensity, and symptoms don't follow a steady path.
So I would imagine, having someone like keep a chart, right, of different activities and when that pain might occur, or even medications, how they affect you, or what you're eating and how it might affect you. Sometimes that's linked with that as well. And I know that you teach this curriculum with your senior center, so I wanted to make sure that we brought that in here too. One of the things that you talk about when it comes to communication is talking with your healthcare professional. So what is a self-manager's responsibility when it comes to that?
So it's really being open and honest with your doctor. They are there to help treat you and to help fix the problem the best that they can, right? There's not always a quick, easy fix, but they're there to help support you. So like you said, kind of taking notes, taking a journal, right? I think is the biggest thing that you could do for yourself, and being honest. Your doctor's time is the most important, and that's what we talk about a lot in the curriculum, is don't brush off anything to your doctor because you think it's not important, or because your doctor doesn't want to hear about it. Your doctor wants to hear about it. They need to hear about it. So keeping that journal, that's really important. And communicating with your doctor about what's going on, what's changed, how, like you said, how your medications may be affecting things. Very important.
Yeah, I know. One of the things that we always did with my mother when we would go to her doctor's appointments was, first of all, someone would accompany her to make sure that between the two sets of ears, we could pick up everything that the doctor was saying. But we also made sure that we made a list of things that we needed to discuss with that doctor, so that when we got in there, we didn't forget things. We just checked off things as we went down our list to make sure that everything that we needed to discuss was discussed during that meeting.
And I think one of the other things too, Kathy, is if somebody, say, for some reason can't go with you, because we do the same, but getting the printout. A lot of doctors' offices still give the printout. So taking those printouts, putting them in a binder, I think is a really great opportunity too, if for some reason somebody can't be with you.
Yeah, that is great. That is great. I know with your iPhone, you can take a picture in your notes section.
Yes.
You can scan a document and then share it with other family members, which is a great way to communicate things, across everyone in the family. Mm-hmm. And talking about family, I know that we were just talking about being a self-manager and communicating with your physician. But I think another really important part of being a self-manager is to communicate with your family as well. So can you tell me a little bit about communicating with family and friends and what a self-manager's role is in that?
Yeah, I think it's really important to know that the communication is a two-way street, right? So in terms of like my mother-in-law, for instance, we don't know how she's feeling if she doesn't tell us. So her symptoms, kind of come and go, right? Some days are better than other days. So if she doesn't communicate to us that she isn't feeling well, we're not going to know because it's an invisible situation, right, with hers. So it's very important as the self-manager to make sure you're communicating with your family. I don't feel well today. I feel this pain. I'm unable to do this today, or this is affecting me this way, so that they can help support you and make sure that they are also getting you the help. Like you said, Kathy, going to the doctor's appointments with you, being that extra set of eyes and ears.
Right. I think too, when you talk about making sure that you communicate and being really open, it's important not to assume that people know how you feel or know what your struggles are. I think that is a key part of communication, because without that, then things can fall by the wayside. I recently did a lesson on using humor too when communicating. And sometimes that's the best way to handle stressful situations too with our families. And being able to share with that. I mean, the other side of it too, we're talking about opening up and being honest with your family, but it's important too that you don't try to be the victim, like being the victim all the time. Mm-hmm. And you talked about communication being a two-way street. And so, other than talking, what's the other side of communicating with someone?
Listening.
Right. Yeah. So listening first, right? That's the most important key to interrupting, as I just interrupted you.
You're fine.
So, I also know that in this book, they talk about using your mind to help manage your pain and other symptoms. So there's always a strong link between your thoughts and your attitudes, your emotions, and your physical and mental health. There's even some studies that have done with brain imaging using mindfulness and being able to handle chronic pain through that. So as a self-manager, how much does the mind come into play when we're talking about mind over matter when it comes to managing pain?
Yeah, so the mind definitely plays a big role when you're managing your self-pain. I think it's really important to just kind of to know that. It's kind of like with anything else, right? When we're exercising, it has shown us that emotions can trigger the hormones and other chemicals that send messages. So you can do things, like breathing exercises to help kind of bring down your feelings. There's also something that is called distraction and retention refocusing. So I won't really go too deep into that, but let's say, that you have to do a task that is kind of too much for you, right? Whether it's walking up the steps or, vacuuming or something, you can think of something else that's going to distract you from that task that you have to do. Maybe it's going to your favorite store or where different things are located. I think of my mom, her favorite store is Macy's department store, if you're familiar with that. And so, thinking about where all of those things are, in that place, or your favorite things. List your favorite things in the alphabet, with each letter, so A, apples are your favorite thing, B, what's your favorite thing? Balls. Those kind of things can help distract your mind.
Right. So, I think that's definitely great. Kind of that idea of rather than dwelling in your pain is just working through it if you can, laying around and just thinking about how much you hurt. can just kind of make that pain be compounded. Can we talk a little bit too? I mean, I know that positive talk and letting go of things, reframing your thoughts rather than having really negative feelings. We could, reframe some of those into some more positive comments.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you could think of a negative statement like, my pain is just terrible, right? But we can rephrase that to, my pain is just really bad today, but I know it's only temporary. Or, my pain will never get better. But we could reframe that to, by relaxing and taking a warm bath, I can make my pain more bearable. I just have to take things one day at a time. You also can say things like, nothing will ever be the same. Everything changes though, right? I need to consider new ways of doing the things I enjoy. That's the great thing about technology today and the adaptations that science has given us. Things are so much more advanced than they ever have been. I can't stand it anymore is another negative statement that a lot of people living with chronic pain might make. And you can say things like, I'm going to call a friend for lunch to just take the pain off my mind. Or I'm good for nothing. Other people need and depend me. I'm worthwhile. It's always true. Somebody out there needs you. Somebody out there loves you and wants you.
Yeah, and it's important to use these mindfulness or these positive thought processes. We have been dealing a lot with opioid issues when it comes to people in pain and how quickly doctors are to prescribe that. And the idea behind this whole program is to try to avoid or limit the use of those medications. And I know that when you teach the program, you do a lot of stuff with exercising and the importance of exercise when it comes to chronic pain. So even though my body's really hurting, I still need to do some exercising. So can you share a little bit with me on the different types of exercises and the importance of exercising?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know active people are healthier and happier people than those who are not active. And you can pull up whenever you want. We have just a few slides of some very simple, easy exercises, more like stretches that are from the curriculum that we use. Physical activity keeps you fit. If you have the strength and stamina to do the things you want to do in life, gives you that strength and stamina to do the things you want to do. Scientific research conducted over the past 30 years has consistently shown that increasing physical activity helps chronic pain, improves function, and boosts overall health and well-being. One of the things that I really want to encourage is these are the stretches that you can do at home, but also if you're able to go out, water aerobics, anything in the water is really great for joints, gives you kind of that weightless feeling. Any of that is great. One of the things, it's never too late. Kathy, I can't stress that enough. I know it's never too late. My mom started exercising at 69 years old. She goes and she walks at the Y about 3 times a week. And she said that she noticed a huge difference when she started walking at the Y. And she noticed a huge difference when the Y shut down for COVID and she had to start going back, and she had to build back that energy. And she doesn't do very much. She just walks about a mile. But these are the stretches, just sitting up tall in your chair, going to the sides, to just get that stretching. These are safe ones at home. When your senior centers are able to start offering classes again, please check them out. They may have this very exact curriculum that we will show you at the end, but they may have things like Tai Chi or Matter Balance that has other exercises. And I think we have one more slide that has some other exercises, some stretches. So just leg lifts at home and just lifting your arms above your head. And you can repeat these as you build endurance and just keep doing them. You will notice a difference, I promise.
Right. And, and I know that a good exercise plan, with the program that you do, it brings in all different kinds of parts of exercise. So, flexibility, being able to move around more comfortably, building strength, so muscles to support any of those body parts that might be aching. The endurance part, you talked about, water aerobics. So keeping your heart healthy, being able to, walk long distances, and then having balance is another really important one. We want to make sure that we keep
Yes.
all of those joints and everything loosened up so that we can, not have a potential fall or anything that might come with that. What if someone hasn't exercised in a while? I know that, we need to take some precautions when it comes to that.
Yeah. So, they want to start low. They want to start slow. They want to, prepare, build in the rest periods. They want to, think about, monitoring their self. Is their heart rate getting too high? Drinking lots of water, things like that. They want to make sure that they are consulting their doctor before they start any kind of exercise routine, no matter how small it is, to make sure that they are clear to do that. And we make sure that with our different programs that we offer at our senior center, that they get a signed consent form from their doctor before that.
And I think, too, is making sure that you pace yourself. So
Yes.
the days that you feel great, that you don't go overdo it and then be in a lot of pain the next day, but making sure you balance that out, kind of setting up a routine and sticking with that routine.
Right.
Maybe adding to it as you get a little bit stronger, but not overdoing it on those days that you feel great.
Right.
We talked, and of course, healthy weight management is another one. So eating a good balanced diet, making sure that you're getting all the nutrients that you need for your body to heal and repair and to have the strength. And we talked about medication already. So, as far as the opioid, but then also learning to manage your medication is another part of that self-management. And so if someone is really interested in chronic pain programs, what are some of the places that they could visit and they could go to?
So they could go to their local area on aging and get more information on that. They can contact also their local senior centers. They have a variety of different kinds of classes. You could also, it's not on the resources list, but you could contact your local OSU Extension office. Kathy, I know you offer a lot of classes probably in conjunction with your senior centers, but also maybe independently. Different Silver Sneakers locations may have different things. And then, this thing on the side, the picture on the side is a book that goes along with the chronic pain management curriculum, but you can purchase this book and it's kind of like a workbook separately that you can just kind of work through on your own. It talks about the self-manager, the advocate, all that kind of stuff. So that's where you can get some more resources and information and look up for some other kind of classes that you can do.
Great. Fantastic. Bridget, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And again, if you need to contact Bridget or I or your local extension office, you can find that on any web or look to your local area agency on aging.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.